Alright, we got a finalized design for the adapter for the sprocket onto the GSXR wheel. It's in that box. Got all the bolts laid out. We got our machine set up. Just running the simulation right now. You can see, I know you can't really tell, it's all toolpath stuff, but we got our chunk of aluminum in there. And yeah, we'll get this thing rolling. Alright, there she is. Keep in mind, this is just roughed for right now. There's no holes in or anything, but we'll test fit our sprocket on there. Boom. Like a glove. You can see it fits nicely right on that lip right there. So this will bolt into this upper section, and then this lower section here will bolt into the wheel. But like I said, you still got to drill the holes into it, but you can see it coming to life. It's looking pretty good. Okay, so while this is running, I should explain, this is called a CNC milling machine. For those of you that don't know, for those of you that do know, it's a EF6 super spindle. You can see it's running right now, reading thousands and thousands of lines of D code. I can't even show you in there, but this machine is capable of 5-axis rotation, so front to back, left to right, up and down, and it spins like this and it spins like this. I can show you my other 5-axis that I run. This is what I do on a day-to-day basis. This is another 5-axis. So this table, that will spin, and then this whole head will move around and do whatever. So you could mill all kinds of stuff, all kinds of complex parts. Here's one of them. Something like that. And I do this every single day. So, needless to say, I'm a professional. Do not try this at home if you were thinking about doing so. Right now it's running, so I'll check back with you once it's done. Alright, here's the finished product. The holes are all in there. We got a nice snug fit on top here. There. So you got your threaded holes here, 5/16, 18. These are pressed through. So these bushings here, little ill prepared. These bushings are going to sit in here, right? Those will get press fit in, and those will line up with the corresponding holes on the wheel. This will get pushed in from the bottom side. Obviously, I still got to cut it off, but that'll sit into the wheel, hold it nice for the torque, and the sprocket will bolt on top. You got your hole through. So now I gotta flip this over. Gotta make some custom jaws so that we can line it up and everything. Flip it over, cut off the backside, cut off all this excess stuff, And then we should be able to test fit it onto the wheel. That's how we're looking. Okay, well, I didn't film the making of the jaws here, and I didn't film the cutting of the backside here of the part, but honestly it didn't miss much. I basically just flipped it over, cut the backside, cut this pocket in it, and as you can see, the wheel fit on there just fine. So I think we're ready to take this out, and I'll show you the final product and the final fitment onto the wheel. Okay boys, there she is in all her glory. You can see our holes are lined up with the wheel underneath. Gotta put our sprocket on top. I actually have to push that thread down just a little bit, but you can see she lines up on the inside, right on the wheel. Let's take a look. There's the back of it, so it fits around this flange here all the way. What a beautiful piece. That came out so good. Way better than I was hoping for. That looks awesome. Alright, so the sprocket on there. Okay, there she is with the sprocket on there. Obviously there's no bolts in it yet, but we're going to use some of these purple haze bolts on the top side here. We'll use these blue ones underneath here to hold it to the wheel. So you'll see some trick titanium in there. But man, that looks awesome. That looks awesome. I think I might even just leave it silver. I might just give it a clear coat with some spray paint, call it good. Man, that looks awesome. Alright, back here at my house. Got this thing all finished up. Here's your titanium purple haze banjos. Got the blue MX teal behind it. Lindell 54-2 sprocket. You can kind of get a little sneak peek of how she's going to look on the bike. I'm not going to tear it down right now, but with YouTube magic, I'll see you in a couple of days and we're going to test fit this on the bike. Alright, so I'm going to set this guy over there. I don't know if I showed you guys last time, but this is the spacer that I made for this side of the wheel, so it's going to sit on there. And then I got these two for the left side of the wheel over here that I'm going to, you can see I wrote on there, finish 895, finish 650. That's my math that I did measuring the brake rotor distance. We're going to check it, double check it right now to make sure that it's correct. So let's pop this wheel on there real quick. Again, we're just using the factory axle 25 millimeter on these late model Harley Davidsons, 2008 and newer. We'll have a 25 millimeter axle. You'll know because it's hollow. You can see through there, front and rear. So let's pop this guy on here. And this should sit captive. Let's see. I know what you're saying right now. You didn't do the other side. We're gonna check it out. Now comes the hard part. Trying to get this all the way up here. Oh, I might need a caliper spacer. I didn't think of that. Alright, let me show you what I'm running into right now. You can see with the axle here, this is the axle coming through the wheel. When I set the brake caliper on it, hang on, let me take this out. It'll be easier to show this way. So when I set the brake caliper on it, I don't have enough length from from the height of the caliper to the center of the axle hole. So the axle will not, let me try it right here. Yeah, see how the axle is just hitting the, oh, you can't see, my hand's in the way. Just hitting this part here in the back there. So I have to space up the caliper in order to get it to fit. It's like just barely not. So I'm gonna have to buy some parts. That's okay. We would do that. We'll buy some spacers and then we'll figure that out. But for right now, I'm just gonna pull the caliper off. That way I can still measure the distance that I need. And we'll go from there. All right, let me show you what I mean. I got the wheel on there. So you can see this gap between the caliper and the bracket. All I did was loosen the bolt so that way I could pick it up enough to where the wheel will spin in there, because the caliper just hits the top of the rotor. I had to cut these calipers originally to fit them on this bike. They're obviously just not meant for it. So I'm gonna have to get a little spacer in there. I'll measure that in a minute. It's not a big deal. But the problem is lining this up. Let me get my license plate out the way. So we're lined up on the wheel, right? Everything's here. The axle's in. We're all good here. The chain, obviously the chain's not on, but you can see it'll line up. And then my plan was to make a spacer like this one, and put it on this side behind the rotor to bump it out. But I figured it would be easier just to make axle spacers for here and here, and that way I could just run the same setup. However, I failed to realize that this little tab here, this mounting tab, sits on the swing arm, top and bottom, and so it's not long enough. It's like just, you can see it's just barely touching the swing arm right there. So I'll have to make some more of these. That's not a problem. This will be extremely easy to make. And the good thing about this Rebufini bracket is that from the backside, you can see it bolts right in. Those two little tabs just bolt right in. So that'll be a quick, easy job to make. Some longer ones and maybe spray paint them black or whatever. And that'll be good. Now we just gotta measure this and this, make sure that's correct, and then measure this gap right here, and then we'll get some spacers for that. Then we can put a tire on this, make that little thing, 2 of those little things, and we should be good. And then we'll be one step closer to a jigsaw wheel on the Harley. And then I still have to do the front, but that one should be pretty easy. I'll talk about that real quick. I was originally gonna change this whole master cylinder to a, what's it called? The Brembo RCS 19, but I'd have to rewire this whole switch panel thing. I just don't want to get into that. I don't really want to put that much more money into this fucking bike, to be completely honest with you. I love this bike, but oh my God, I'm like 20 grand into this thing. So I'm just gonna keep that, get a secondary brake line, do the wheel, tire, brake rotor, caliper. We'll call it good. Then I could run some 17s on here. I think I'm gonna go with Dunlop Q5 tires. If you guys have any experience with that, let me know. The Q5A, not the Q5S, because I don't want track tires on this thing, but it's gonna look really stupid with just one wheel on there. Got to do both of them at the same time. But yeah, that's where we're at. So let's measure up these, make sure my numbers are correct, and I'll probably turn those down today, just because got no better to do. All right, I just measured everything. I didn't show that because it was quite the process. But originally my math said that this would be 895. It's actually 840, this distance here. This one I have to calculate. This gap right here is exactly ½ inch, and so I got to measure it to the inside edge of the wheel, like how this spacer fits on this side. See how it goes inside the wheel there? I'll have to measure that out. I have the numbers in my phone, but whatever. So, and then this gap here off the caliper will be 6 mil, that gap. Sorry, it's a little blurry. So I'll order some parts. We'll make a few things. Get a tire, and then we'll get this thing on the freaking road finally. But sorry this is taking so long. I've been really lazy too. But yeah, all right guys, we're over here at my parents' house. See the old choppers where I got my expertise from my dad's. This is my grandfather's lathe here. Just turning down these axle spacers. I forgot my tripod, of course. This is Dookie. Hi. So I'm just turning these down. Nothing crazy. Finish at 720 thickness. This one's 840. We're just doing it on the old lathe here. Looks like that. Not bad. It's definitely not like the most accurate, but it'll work. Okay, well, we got one of them done. Going on to this one next. Figured you guys would probably like this old chopper shop. It's my dad's garage. Slow down, no burnouts. All kinds of cool shit hanging. Just chopper parts everywhere. You know. All the tools. These are the old shovel heads. This one is called the Old Boy. It's like a 53 bottom end. Well, one side's a 56, one side's a 53, and 77 shovel heads. Dookie likes it. Wide glide, you know, rigid frame, the whole shebang. This is my uncle's. He's no longer here. Mushroom. S&S shovel head, generator bottom. It's got a magneto on it. Kickstart only. Same with that one. That one's also kickstart only with a magneto. But this thing is, I think he bored it over to like a 80-inch. Normally these are 72 or 74, I think. Can't remember. They're 1200s, but it's bored bigger. S&S flywheels, super E carb on there. You know, old school like Frisco kind of tank on there. Kill switches over here. Really trick. But he was a master Harley mechanic. My uncle, Mushroom, right here. 2016. Damn, it's been 10 years already. So, yeah, figured you guys would like that. You know, we got a vibe in here for sure. It's where I learned it. It's where I learned it all. So, let's finish up this last part, and then we'll throw it on the bike. What do you think, Dukes? Yeah. Alright, back from my parents' house. Made those spacers. So we got the long one right there because it goes into the wheel there, and then the short one right here. And then you can see our brake rotor is nice and centered inside there. It may look a little bit off to the right there, but these are semi-floating rotors, and the axle is not torqued down yet. So once it is, it'll be good. And this is just loose on there right now. But I'll put a spacer in between here, front and back, and then we'll get our height set perfectly. And like I said, we got to make a thing for these two tabs. Keep those sitting on the swing arm properly, because that is scary. But yeah, there we go. So everything's pretty much on there. I got to get a tire, make those tabs, and that's it. We're rocking and rolling. Pretty sweet. Bike's looking good. One thing I am concerned about is the height of the tire. The new tire will be slightly smaller in diameter than that. It should be pretty close, but you might have to make some adjustments to the suspension. It might sit a little bit lower, which kind of sucks because when I corner this thing, I already scraped the exhaust and the bottom of the foot peg there. I don't know if you can see that. It's not focusing, but I mean, you guys have seen my videos, so You know, I go pretty hard. So if it's lower, the front wheel will definitely be lower than that one. That's a 19. The new one's going to be a 17. It'll be probably an inch shorter. I'm really hoping that I don't scrape. But yeah, it should look pretty cool. And it'll be a lot faster, a lot lighter. The handling will be a lot better overall. So that'll be cool. This Brembo, by the way, is off of GSXR 1000. It's the same as this front one. I just bought a front set. They just bolt right onto the Gixxer front end. The front end is a 2005 GSXR 600 front fork tubes. And yeah, those just go on with these Speed Merchant triple trees. See the logo there, SM Speed Merchant. These things are pretty pricey, but I mean, they literally just bolt right up. There's no guesswork about it at all. You just bolt it up. Putting the Harley wheel on is a whole different story, but obviously I'm going away from that for a reason, so I wouldn't even recommend trying it. Just get a Gixxer front wheel and slap it on there. Yeah. All right, I'll see you in the next part. It'll probably be in a couple weeks or so when I make the things and I get the rest of my parts and the tire and everything. Yeah, sorry this project is taking so long, but we're getting there. All right, guys, it is a new day. We're back here in the shop making some parts. Gonna make these little standoffs for the brake bracket that I was showing you. So we got just some tapped holes, a little slot in there, a couple tools. This will be real simple. They start out looking like this. We'll machine them all down. I'll show you the process. I'll show you some of the process. I don't know how much I'm really gonna film of it because I don't have a tripod, but they start out looking like this. We'll have a top and we'll have a bottom, and then the swing arm will sit in between the two like this, something like that. So I just cleaned up one side. I'm gonna flip it over, get this to height, and we'll flip it, get this to length, and we'll flip it, clean this up, put our slot in, drill our holes, tap them, easy peasy. Sorry, this window is super dirty. I'm just kind of working through these parts here. I'm standing up on end. I'm cutting the length right now. So it looks kind of like this. I know, not a great example, but for those of you who care. Alright, so we're just working through these two little blocks here. Got the shell mill up in there. Finishing at 2 inches, so let's drop that down. 2 inch right there. I'm gonna jog this over. Jog this. Check these out over here. For that beautiful finish. It's like a mirror. Alright, now on to the next step. Alright, here's how we're looking. Just machined all sides, squared up the block, got it to our sizes here. Now I'm going to stand it up on end. We're going to drill our holes in it, tap them. Then I'm gonna put this slot in there, this little guy right here, and then that's it. Pretty simple. Yeah, I figured I'd show you guys this part. So this tool here is called a probe, Renishaw probe, and it works in conjunction with the machine. You see I got my block in there, and we're gonna use this probe program to find the center point of that block. So we'll go here, we'll go to probe center, start from center. We're going to go to a work offset. We're just going to call this 59 for right now. X width, that's going to be the width of this part right here. That will be this number right here, 1.575. So we're going to plug that in. Oop, see if it shows up there. And our Y width is this. depth right here, from here to here. That is going to be this number here, 885. So I'll plug that in. Sorry about that glare on the screen. Boop. And then our Z depth, that's going to be how far the probe is going to come down on the side of the block here. So that, we could probably just do ½ inch. Just call it 0.5. Okay, put that in MDI. And we got our little program right there. So now, when I press go, it's gonna run. So I touch the top, come over to the left. Oh, sorry, I fucked up. Okay, here's where I fucked up. I put it on Z.5. It should be minus 0.5. So let's put that in there. Okay. Just like so. And then we could change our Z right there. Z minus 0.5. Alter. Okay. Now it'll good. Come down. Touch the side of the part. Do the right side. Now I just found the center point. Now it's going to be the front. And the back. And there's our center. Perfect center of the block. Sorry guys, I completely forgot to grab my phone for that process, but that's all we did. We just milled a little slot in there, drilled some holes, put some threads in, and that's really about it. So these are going to sit on the swing arm. One will go on the bottom, one will go on the top, just to fill up that gap that I just showed you in the previous portion of the video. And yeah, that's it. I might just round these corners a little bit just to make it look a little smoother. Might throw some black paint on there. I might just leave it like this because this kind of looks cool too. But yeah, that's what we got. 2 of those bad boys. Alright guys, I don't know where I left off in the last video on the Gixxer wheel. I know this is taking forever, but life. But anyway, we got the wheel all together. Boom, we're ready to go. Got a tire. I'm going to bring it to the tire shop right now. See the spec, Dunlop Sportmax Q5A, not the Q5S, because this will be a little bit better for the street, but it'll still be, it's a nice soft compound. You can dig your nail into it. It's soft, but the center piece is a little bit harder. You can see, hard to tell on camera, but it feels different. Anyway, 150 60 17, so it'll be a little bit shorter height-wise than that tire, but it's actually a little bit wider. I'll show you. Lining up the two, you kind of see it's just a smidge wider. It won't rub the chain or anything, but it'll fit. So I'm going to take this to the tire shop now, get that fitted on there, and yeah, I'll see you in a little bit. Alright boys, well here she is mounted up. To everyone who says you can't fit a 150 tire on a 3.5 rim is definitely full of shit. I knew this would work. You could honestly probably fit a 160 on there. You have so much room. You could probably fit a 170 on there. But yeah, next I'm going to weigh this, and I'll slap it on the bike. I'm not going to put it on there today. I just don't have time. But we're going to weigh this, because remember our original wheel weighed 47 pounds, 46.9, that wheel, with everything on it. So I'm going to weigh this and see how much this weighs. Alright, got the scale. Let's see if this guy works. Sometimes the scale doesn't like to read. 31.7 pounds. So that's a weight savings of what? 19 pounds? Oh, 30.4. Hold on, I'm moving around. 30.4. Let's try it again. Sorry, I got the sniffles today. 30.4. So that's 17 pounds of weight savings. And if you calculate that at 6.4 pounds So that's rotational mass. So 1 pound of rotational mass is equal to 6.4 pounds of static weight. So let me do the math in my head. Okay, I had to put my phone down because I'm kind of dumb. But it's equal to taking about 106 pounds of dead weight off the bike, which is crazy. And it being part of the drive line is going to enhance that even more. So the handling is going to be better. Obviously the tire is better, the brake is bigger, the sprocket's lighter. Everything is literally going to transform this bike into a different machine. And then we got to do the front one. This front tire is super bald. Took it to the track. It's she's torn up. Track shit, but you know, it'll survive for a little bit longer till I get all I need is a caliper, brake line, another set of rotors, the wheel, and a tire, and then we could slap that on there, and we're good to go. All right, day number 9 million, putting a GSXR wheel on the Harley. I just took the stocky off, so we got it to this point. I disconnected the caliper because we're gonna have to put some spacers underneath there. I'll show you all that, but right now we're going to take our bracket off that mounts the caliper, and we are going to change out these 2 studs so that it fits on the swing arm. I'm going to pray that this works. Okay, I had to put this thing in the vise because these bolts were like thread lockered on there, and it was tough. So this is mine compared to the stock one. Obviously the stock one looks a little nicer. It's, you know, powder coated and shit, but this is straight for functionality, so it's gonna look like this, which is all right. If I had more time to make these better, I would have, but I just did these at my old job and I quit that place because it sucks. But yeah, we're just gonna slap these together and I'll be back in a minute. All right, boys, well, turns out these bolts are metric. Didn't know that. So I just went to Ace real quick, got some nice new stainless steel bolts. So you can see how that fits up. Caliper's off it right now, but it's gonna sit right here on the swing arm like that. And then I'll be able to slide it forward and back, line it up with the axle there, and then it'll allow me to space this out more this way. You'll see once I put it together. All right, final fit. I have the door open right now, so hopefully it's not too loud, but it's going to fit something like this. Put some clip. Here. Alright. Woohoo! First in the world. GSXR wheel on a Harley. Damn, that looks fucking sick. I gotta do the front wheel too. And obviously tighten everything up. But damn, that looks fucking badass. Alright, let me button it up. Okay, there's not really like a great camera angle here to show you, but I'm gonna put these little spacers right here on the bottom of the caliper because we're using a bigger rotor. So let's see. Okay, you can see these here, how I had to extend those out. I'll show you this angle here, it'll be easier to see. See that down in there. Otherwise those shorter ones wouldn't have fit. But yeah, there we go. Let me torque everything to spec. We'll put her on the ground and then I'll roll it out. That way we can see, but wow. That looks so badass. See from the back. I probably could have fit a fatter tire on there, honestly. Probably could get a 160. It's just the chain up there. That gap, it's only about a ½ inch. But wow, dude. First in the world right here. For a good reason too, this shit was not easy. All right, let's get everything to spec. All right, there you go. World's first GSXR wheel on a Harley. Oof, that That looks so good. Looks really dumb with that front wheel, but we'll change that.